drone warfare. Everybody is talking about that. Emma, I want to ask you about the training program for young officers on these modern warfare techniques. And sorry, a related question is that will the private sector also have to install these anti-drone equipment soon? Because we're reading reports that ports and airports and metro installations, they will need anti-drone mechanisms. Is the private sector also, I'd like to ask you both, is the private sector also working towards this to see that, we see this in hotels, in theaters, shopping malls? Would we need to do, is that what we're looking at in the future?
And sir, to Defense Secretary sir and Dixit sir, sir, we saw that Asim Munir gave an open threat to the Jamnagar refinery of Reliance. So now, do we see a situation where all the big installations, industry people, they install their own systems? Who will man them? Is the government working in that direction, sir?
So this is related to air defense, basically. Right. So in air defense, there is already a MHA directive is there. So for small drones, which are originating within the country, okay, small. So like you have a theater, you have a stadium, or you have a airport. So the drones come. It is more and to create nuisance and maybe later on some damage. So for that, they will have to install their own, but something which is coming from across the border. For that we are responsible, and we are armed forces are responsible. We are creating counter US grids, and we are creating integrated air defense systems, so that we will fully handle, and work is happening on that regard. Now in future warfare, these small systems which are attritable also will be used, and high performance systems, high cost systems also will be used. So there will be full spectrum. These small systems, low cost systems will create confusion, will create decision dilemma, nuisance value, all that. But they will not be able to decide the course of war. That is what we feel at this stage. If some new technology comes up after 5 years, then we will change our opinion. But today, this is our opinion. But they are required to create multiple confusion in enemy's mind and in his cognition. So I think people will have to install anti-drone systems which are against drones which create nuisance, actually. People are doing it, and I think that is the
internal disturbance is what you're talking
about. Yes, internal disturbances.
Right. And to the private sector also, I'd like to ask this question. Are they coming up in the private sector, anti-drone technology? And how soon and should the private enterprises look at it, that we will need these soon?
No, so, we've been tracking what's happening in Sindoor and, what's happening around the world. And clearly air defense is something that we are invested into. So we, for example, make close-in weapon systems for the Air Force, which is a last level of defense against low-flying aircrafts or missiles or drones for that matter. And we are investing in a lot of counter-drone technology. Counter-drone technology varies from the very simple, just jamming and spoofing, to more advanced hard kill mechanisms and all that. And we are looking at it. Now, if you are asking are we also investing into it to protect our infrastructure? Maybe not yet, but I suppose, we are alive to all these threats, and we will have to do what is necessary. How that mechanism works, whether it's through a government-run shield or it is something that, we have to invest into, I suppose these doctrines will evolve and we will respond to it.
The Defense Secretary?
So the Prime Minister already has announced on Independence Day what he calls the Sudashan Chakra mission, and that is meant to combine both air defense with offensive capabilities. Work has started on essentially adding value to the multi-layered air defense system that we already have with more modern technologies. That will take some time, and it will involve a mix of, Make in India programs, imports, as well as entirely IDDM type of programs. Whether the private sector can be roped in to provide resources in certain critical areas like Jamnagar, that's something we've really not thought about. Actually, as Marshal Dikshit said, this is really the sovereign responsibility of the government, and we should take that responsibility ourselves. I think that we have a committee under the chairman DRDO and under the co-chairmanship of Marshal Dikshit to look at preparing some kind of a DPR or at least a feasibility report of what we can do when it comes to this mission that the Honorable Prime Minister has already announced. Obviously, that's going to be a priority for us in the future, and we will ensure that it is fully funded from the CapEx point of view to ensure that India as a whole, all critical infrastructure, population centers, etc., are fully protected in a reasonably time-bound manner.
Do subscribe to the ANI Clips channel to get shorter versions of this podcast. Click here to watch the full episode.